I'm here today, February 27th, in Louisville, Kentucky, with Mr. and Mrs. Corder and their lovely family. Anthony, I'd like to introduce you, and what would you like to say regarding your family and them partaking in the reenactment of World War II era?
Well, history's been very central to our family. I've loved history all along, and it's especially for me, I believe everything every academic centers around the historical knowledge. You cannot understand music without an understanding of the history that it brought it there. Medicines, inventions, things like that, all are centered around historical context. So history's always been important for me, and I've always wanted to educate my children to love history. I wanted them to appreciate it because of its value. So for us, it started in colonial Williamsburg. We had gone there one year, and as we were walking around, Jessica was about 15 years old, and as we were walking around and we were doing certain things, the kids were all making comments about the little clothing that the reenactors had, the people that were working there at colonial Williamsburg. And as we were getting ready to leave, I said, you know, we could come back next year and we could be dressed up just like these people if you all wanted to do that, but we'd have to make our own clothing because I'm not going to foot that kind of a bill. So Jessica took on the challenge, and she was about 15 at that point in time, and started hand stitching, doing the research, doing the hand stitching. This was a homeschool project. So she's the one that started it and made clothing for everybody. And when we went back to colonial Williamsburg the following year, we get inside and we'd have the reenactors that actually worked there at Colonial Williamsburg come up to us and say, hey, where did you get that clothing from? Because, you know, we couldn't find that in the wardrobe selection. And we say, we paid to get in here. And they go, oh, really? And so they were amazed at the clothing we had. But from that, my kids began really experiencing history to a new dimension. And it helped draw them into it and desire to learn more of it. So from that, we went from American Revolution to Civil War, and then as we began realizing we had actual people that were from the 30s and 40s, from the Great Depression and from World War II that were still alive, I realized we were losing knowledge because we were not personally involved in the lives of these people. So we started interviewing, and from interviews we started having a gathering at our house of a few hundred people, to last year when we actually did a big event in our hometown where I'm trying to get the entire public to understand these men are passing away, and you need to hear their firsthand experience, knowledge on what they did and what caused the greatest generation to be the greatest generation. And again, my whole philosophy comes from a clear understanding of what I believe comes from the scriptures also. In Genesis we find God creating. It says, in the beginning God created the heavens and the earth. Well, that's time, space, and matter. And that is what history is all about. And we, again, in my Christian Judeo understanding, there's coming a time in the book of Revelations when history is going to end. So we have God in eternity past and we have God in eternity future, and in between He's giving us a historical context to understand Him. So history is very, very significant for us understanding everyday life and understanding what happened in the past and having a vision for what's going on in the future. And again, one of my philosophies is, and one of the things I'm constantly telling my children and other people, if we cannot learn to love men who have already existed, we will never have a vision for the future. So we live today in the here and now in our nation because we've lost our historical context. Because again, we were raised on Judeo-Christian values back in the 20s and the 30s, where men understood those things and they had firm foundations that was passed from one generation to the next generation. And again, that's what caused the greatest generation. Well, today we live for the here and now, and we have no vision for tomorrow. Just, if we look at our national debt and we look at all the other things that we're doing as a nation, and as what households do as in particular on a daily basis, they really do not have a vision for their own family leading into the future. They're living today, and well, why is that? Because they do not understand the historical context that they came from, and so therefore they have no way of gauging what the future is even going to be like.
Michele, you're involved with this as well, are you not?
Yeah, we all do it together. Anything you do together, I think is important.
And I understand that children are all homeschooled.
Yes.
Can you tell me why you chose that path?
Oh, a lot of reasons. It's a biblical foundation because you are to, as you walk by the way and as you sit, as you go, it's an integrated part of life of everything that we do. Even the 2 and 3 year olds are by our older one's sides as we do everything in life. And just schooling is just an outgrowth of that.
And I see we have a very special guest here today, and that's Grandma. Okay, Grandma, how do you feel about this? And could you tell us your first name again?
I'm Jessie.
Jesse, tell us about this and what you think about what the family is doing.
Delighted. I feel very, very blessed to be part of this, watch the kids grow as they mature and make good decisions. They all have fun. They do everything together. They work together, they play together, and I love to hear them sing.
And did you say you love to hear them sing?
Oh yes, I
Uh-huh.
do.
That's interesting. And what do they like to sing and sing about?
They love the Lord. They sing the Lord's praises. Songs that they bring up and share in the kitchen are not the ones that I know, but then they jump into the oldie ones that I know, and that's even more fun.
Well, that's wonderful. So I see that this family has an excellent religious foundation, and that is probably what brought you where you are today, with the family, the strength of the family, and being able to homeschool the children. And actually, they're really not children, but they're adults. And it's a beautiful family, and I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued that we have 12 members of a family that participate in such a beautiful adventure, meeting the veterans, telling the stories, and as you said, you're hearing it firsthand. And to have it told firsthand is something that they can take on to their families and one day sit down with them and say, remember when I was at a show and I met this gentleman? Well, he's a gentleman they made that movie about, that Pee Wee Martin. Or anyone else that you might have met or you may have invited to your home, like Mr. Jakeway. These are all very, very special men who grew up in a time in America which was the Depression, and they realized the values that were instilled in them by their families. And I see the same values here, and we need to see more of that. I'd like to introduce each and every one of you today, especially the members of the siblings in the family. I want to start right up there with my Air Force, is that a lieutenant on there? Captain, okay.
Thomas Wilson.
Thomas Wilson. Thomas, and why are you doing this? What's the real reason? You like the uniform?
Yes, sir. But the history coming to life by actually portraying those who were involved in it increases the message, and people hear it better when they see you dressed all up.
And they come over, they say hello, they respect the uniform,
Yes, sir.
and then you realize that at the same time they're respecting the uniform, they're respecting the person in it.
It's
So
a
that-
good conversation starter.
Right. And the young man standing next to Thomas, tell me, and how do you fit into the grouping today?
Well, I'm Joshua Porter, and I love dressing up. It's really fun, and as far back as I can remember, we've always done it.
And is that your brother next to you, I would imagine?
I'm Caleb Porter, and dressing up is a really important part of shows. It honors the vets who fought before you, and it helps other people realize that history is still alive.
I see that you wear the 8th Air Force shoulder patch.
Yes.
Were you specifically looking for the 8th Air Force when you
Yes,
got
I
that uniform?
Well, actually, I changed the patch. So,
You changed the patch. What was on there originally?
fifth, I cannot remember.
You don't remember, but you knew you wanted the 8th Air Force.
Yes.
Do you know a little history about it? Did you read up on the 8th Air Force?
We heard a book about a bomb group that was over Germany, and they did several missions over Germany, and so
What was the book?
it was about a American pilot. He was flying a B-17, and it was badly damaged, and
Give the name of the book.
it was called The Old Pub
A Higher Call is the name of the book.
of the book.
Oh, the name of the
It's
book.
the name of
The
the
book
book.
was The Higher Call, and so I was portraying them.
Well, that's wonderful. And gentleman sitting next to you, your brother.
My name's Josiah, and I do it I like doing it with other people. I don't enjoy doing things by myself to an extent. I like going out and doing things with other people. And obviously, I'm not dressed up today. I didn't bring my uniform. But dressing up adds a whole nother feel to an event. When you dress up, you feel like what they did in the actual reenactment in real life. You feel more personal connection with the vets and with the surroundings, especially when you go to a historical place. It makes you feel more that you can gain more from it, and you feel more at home and more of the experience when you're dressed up. So that's particularly why I enjoy it.
And what type of uniform do you dress up in?
I have a 82nd combat uniform, so the jumpsuit.
And you've met some men who actually served in the 82nd during the Second World War?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And anyone in particular that stands out in your mind right
Well,
now?
Don Jakeway in particular, he's the one that made me choose 82nd over 101st. There has been several men who we've met from both 82nd and 101st that it's really an honor to wear the same thing they wore and distinguish yourself with.
Sitting next to you, I see a Navy man.
I'm Elijah, and this is my Navy outfit, and it's helpful to wear it and to honor the vets, and it helps get their story.
Elijah, do you have any friends your age that are also into reenactment? Well, I'm sure you're gonna start meeting more people. Elijah, you said you're 12 years old? 10, 11, okay. I know a young man who lives in Switzerland who's born in America, and he likes to get dressed up in the 101st Airborne uniform. And he was born in America, and he goes to Normandy. In fact, I understand the family was in Normandy this year for the 70th anniversary.
Yes.
Were you able to gain admittance to see the president?
No, we didn't. That wasn't one of our desires. No, we actually wanted to go over and be with Mr. Jakeway. He had a presentation from the French government that was happening, and we knew that there was a large gathering of vets that would be there. And again, it's our goal is to meet as many as possible. So that's why we went over.
Did you have an opportunity to go to St. Mary Glees?
We did, yes.
You did. And wasn't that beautiful?
Yes.
I think you got to meet some of the reenactors, especially the women who have a special way of dressing for the period, walking around St. Mary Glees. You recall meeting them?
Yes.
Okay. And did you happen to come in contact with the with Jubilee and?
Phillips family. Yeah, they were there.
You did meet the Phillips while you were there.
Yes.
Right. I'd like to also move on, and I've got looks like a glider man over there.
No, this is 82nd Airborne. I'm Lincoln.
I'm sorry, Lincoln?
Lincoln.
Hi, Lincoln.
And it's a lot of fun dressing up because you can do things that most kids actually don't do normally, and it's a lot of fun.
And tell me one of the things that most kids can't do besides putting on the uniform.
Going places that most kids normally don't, meeting people they normally don't.
Do you talk about this to friends in church, for example?
Yeah.
And how do they receive it?
They like it.
They like it, huh? Do they ever say they want to go with you and come along?
Yeah, sometimes.
Okay. So that's great. That's great. We're going to move right along here, and I've got two lovely ladies, and we're going to start off with the young lady sitting on your lap, and that's Anna. Hi, Anna. How are you?
Good.
And whose lap are you sitting on, Anna?
Jessica.
You're sitting on Jessica's lap. Okay. So you and Jessica can start telling me about why you like getting dressed up.
I think she likes the curly hair.
The curly hair.
The curly hair.
Did you ever see the Broadway show Annie?
No, I have not.
She likes Shirley Temple.
Oh, Shirley
A little
Temple.
bit later era.
She's a Shirley Temple fan.
Shirley, I used to watch Shirley Temple when I was your age on TV. And who else do we have sitting here?
This is Nathan. He's the youngest member of the family.
Hi, Nathan. How are you? Are you having fun today? I guess so. I see you've got a sailor's cap on and a sailor's uniform.
Tell them about it? Yeah.
Did you get that today?
Did somebody give you the hat today?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
somebody gave
you're
the
very
hat.
lucky. You're very lucky. And you and your sister are probably two of the youngest reenactors I've met. Do you know that? That's very special. And tell me why you do this.
I'm Rebecca, and it's really neat to walk around and talk to people because they will open up a lot more when you're in costume, and they'll say, "Wow, you look just like my mother," or they'll just randomly start telling you stories about things that if I was in normal wear, they wouldn't necessarily open up and say, "Thank you so much for acting like a woman and dressing like one." So that to me, that's really important.
Are you familiar with the terms vintage clothing?
Yes.
In England, they have flea markets where reenactors like yourself go to, especially many of the women, and they go there and they pick out beautiful clothing from the period, from the late 30s to the 40s and sometimes the 50s. And I don't know if you've ever noticed this, but if you ever go back and you watch film clips, or even when they do movies, the colors of the clothing that were worn by the British women during the Second World War were very, and I'm not insulting anyone, but they were very drab. They were grays and charcoal colors. And these reenactors in Europe today, I asked them, I said, where did you get these colorful clothes? They go, well, they're not British, they're American. So during that period of time, American fashion was going out there and trying to attract sales by giving women a choice of more colors. And I thought that was interesting, hearing that from women who are very involved with reenactment. And as I said, you probably met a number of women and men galore. They're walking around, they're all over the place. Sometimes it's hard to tell them apart from the regular army today, unless you know what a World War II uniform is versus what a current soldier's uniform is. But you can tell most likely by the khakis and what they're wearing and the type of boots that they have on. I would also like to ask you to tell me what your future plans are, and do you have any aspirations with regard to this reenactment? Do you want to take it to another level? Or is it just going from one show to another to meet people, to thank them for the service? What is the future purpose, and what can you see the future purpose for the young ones in the family?
Well, again, it started out, I really wanted to give my kids an understanding and a reality of what history was. So we have been, for the last 3 years, hosting an event at our house. Well, 3 and 4 years ago, or yeah, something like that, 3 and 4 years ago. I had, at our house, I would invite friends over, and we just did a little hearing of a vet, World War II vet. But last year, what I did was, my mission in life today is we have a website. It's called RememberingWorldWar2.org, and our goal is to have as many World War II vets coming together on an event and having them speak before the public. So we've opened this up to the public and trying to invite them to come, and we have a reenactment that happens to try to draw the people in. And that's there to help bring people in, but the whole focus of the whole event is really to get people to realize these men are still alive, they still have stories to tell. And so they tell it to the public, and then we have what we call like a vet alley, where they just set up tables, and we're constantly trying to funnel these people over to actually go over and talk and meet these guys, look at their photos, hear their stories, listen to what they have to say, because those are the things that'll be gone in just a few more years as these vets are passing away. So my mission at this point in my life is to really get the public to understand the treasure that we have and the lessons we can learn from these people, and again, to help the nation today realize what our nation used to be founded on and what calls the greatest generation. We have stumbled away from those things because we've left our very traditional Christian, Judeo-Christian value system that everything was built on. All of those things are being trashed by the current political machines that are out there, and the media that's out there. And as we just was talking to one of the vets today, he said, well, if there's one thing I want to tell you is whatever Hollywood is showing you, and it's the typical language of the soldier, he said, if we had somebody in our platoon or our company that was speaking like that, we would have taken him out, and we would have dealt with them, because hardly anybody used foul language, and it was only under extreme situations, and it was very, very rare. So again, those are the things that the public today does not realize. So we need men like that telling the story. This is the truth, this is how it happened, and this is the result of men being raised on moral values and how they were able to change the course of history.
Now, you mentioned before that the family sings, and I would imagine you have a lot of beautiful songs that are sung in church where you go to practice your religion. Is there any favorite song that you sing on a weekly basis, or something special that the whole family does really well that you might like to sing?
While you guys are thinking about that, you actually passed over Esther here as she went from mom to grandma. So let me...
Oh, and I have to apologize.
It's fine.
No, it's not fine. But it's okay, we'll get it into the cut. It'll look like it never happened. All right. And who do we have here next to mom and grandma?
I'm Esther.
Esther, that's my mother's name, by the way. It's a beautiful name.
I love my name. I really do. I really think that wearing these clothes and doing the things that we do is really important for our nation and our people today, because we have lost femininity. And women don't act like women anymore. They don't speak like women, and they're not treated like women because they put on the clothes of the men and they speak and act like men. And so the whole distinction that women are women and men are supposed to be men is completely lost. And so I really believe it's vitally important to bring that back. And through wearing these clothes, a lot of men really appreciate it and thank us for it, because only sometimes they see that what they've lost. They say, oh, I really thank you for wearing those clothes because it is so ladylike, and I just want to thank you for it. And so it's encouraging to everyone to see it when a woman dresses like a woman and acts like a woman.
I'd like to ask you, do you have something that you would like to add?
No,
Mom.
it is interesting because you do get a lot of more comments about, because we normally dress in dresses anyway, but we get a lot more comments when we're dressed in costume. That many of the men will say, wow, I wish the women dressed like that, that they really do miss it. And women need to take note of that.
I'm set loose.
To Jesus every day I find my heart is closer drawn. He's fairer than the glory of the golden purple dawn. He's all my fancy pictures and his fairest dreams and more. Each day he grows so sweeter than he was the day before. The happy path cannot be said to be beside the golden shore. Oh, there is a sweeter than he ever was before, than he ever was before. His glory came upon me when I saw him from afar. He's fairer than the lily, brighter than the morning star. He fills and satisfies my longing spirit o'er and o'er. Each day he grows still sweeter than he was the day before.
My heart is sometimes heavy, but it comes to sweet relief. He folds me in his bosom where I droop with pride and grief. I love the Christ to all my burdens in his body bore. Each day he grows to sweeter than he was the day before. The happy
cannot be said to be beside the golden shore. Oh, there is a sweeter than he ever was before, than he ever was before. this side of the golden shore. Now fancied on this side of the golden shore. Oh, there be many ever than he ever was before. Oh, there'll be still sweeter than he ever was before.
Well, I have to thank you for everything that you're doing for our servicemen, for the country, for keeping history alive and being able to pass it on to other individuals wherever they are, whether they're here at home in the United States or some of our allies from World War II, to have an opportunity to see what Americans are doing here and how they observe their veterans and they honor them at the same time. I want to thank you very, very much, all of you. And I'd like to thank Jesse, Grandma, and also I'd like to thank Anthony and also Michele, all right, for giving us this opportunity to meet the family. And I wish you a safe trip and a safe journey home. And thank you very, very much for being part of this production by the American Jewish War Veterans. Thank you.